Amongst our most valuable privileges as a Dasein is our dealings with what is called thought. Denken. We want to give, calm down for a second. And let this notion of the cogitatio take on a special meaning. So I noticed in the footnote of a classical text I was looking at recently, um, an early usage of the Latin word cogitatio. It appeared in one of the ancient masters of rhetoric. Now remember, rhetoric, the way we understand it, sounds slightly depreciatory, like a pejorative. But rhetoric doesn't come to the stage in the hierarchy of values for Aristotle, for Platon, for Socrates. They don't know this breeding, this ordering, and that depreciates rhetoric. They're evaluating it for the first time that any Dasein has looked at this, these so-called general or abstract things. Hegel connects up with the first arising of the sun, which he analogizes with the emotions of a blind man who's just come into possession of thought. This is supposed to be, according to Hegel, this is the beginning of history. Fukuyama speaks of the end of history. It's connected. The rising of the sun, the setting of the sun. East of the sun, west of the moon. G. Gordon Liddy, when he was being carried off to prison, was asked where he was going. He said east of the sun, west of the moon. Let's look at a specific example of thought. Remembering, I think it was 2 videos before this where I tried to give a slight example of language, of Weiten and weiter and distance, of how difficult the most ethical art, that of the philologist, is that of those who try to keep genuine access to the tradition open, to what's been thought in the past, so that we have access to all the best thoughts of human beings. So the word I want to focus on is in Greek theoi, in contemporary Englishes, international Englishes, as I think the Oxford English Dictionary now calls them, we call gods. Now, the risk at every moment is so-called Whig history. Whig history means triumphalist history, where we come up with a current generalization, such as gods, and we project it on all times and all places and try to make everything fit that genus. The alternative is this difficult process of the classical scholars to attempt to think not how we moderns think, but as it would have been for Platon, for Aristoteles, whose name means the best, telos, or for Socrates. The occasion for this thought was reading a précis on Shinto. So Shinto means literally the way of the gods. But we say literally, but was there actually, if gods meant theoi, theoi means something very particular to Western understanding. Theoi, we can see exactly what it means. We have direct um, uh, dialogue, discussion, description in Plato's Euthyphro. Exactly what the theoi meant and how it connected to the law courts at Athens, the Areopagitos. Strangely enough, the main law court, there are many other law courts, so far as I understand it, but the main law course of the archons was the stone of Ares, the Areopagitos, is still there in Athens. Being able to show that we can connect the current thoughts to the legal system seems to add a level of density to the issue. In Shinto, there's said to be 5 main creator gods. In the usage of the Euthyphro, the theoi are not in the line of nature, of natural causes. They're this which orients ourselves towards knowing what the Greeks would have called a kind of pollution, miasma. Miasma is the Greek word. So, for instance, in the Battle of the Arginusa, it has nothing to do with Jason and the Argonauts. The Arginusa are some islands in the Aegean Sea. In the Battle of the Arginusa, the admirals or generals, the Athenians, waged successful warfare, but they failed to retrieve the bodies of the dead because they were carrying out maneuvers that won the battle. In failing to retrieve these bodies, they broke something like that which seems to be broken in the Antigone dilemma. The not bearing of the brother of the Antigone, due to the sudden change in the law by Creon, the wicked Creon, so-called wicked Creon. We have something that is morally efficacious, but which doesn't seem obviously comparable to the creator gods, so far as we talk of these 5 early Shinto gods as creator gods. So then the other option would be to attempt as much as possible to see the tradition as it would stand on its own, but this is very difficult because then it's as though we would have to evacuate 1,001 concepts which guide the way we investigate anything in order to pretend to be able to enter into the Dasein of those other peoples, or to try to give it more texture, the usage, the way the language spoke to them, because we have these examples of how slight changes in drifts from wider to weiter, meaning to widen, then to a word distance, which doesn't necessarily communicate that in the same way. These drifts of meaning, where the word changes its usage in a super subtle way,